Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. People up and down the land have been talking about setting up communities. Communities away from the system. Communities which are heartfelt. Places where you can go to be, well, yourself with fellow-minded people. And today I've got two guests in the studio. Here we are, and I'm operating on my little device here so that I can edit on the fly. I have to remember which camera we're on. And these wonderful people have come forward because you have a community that you're setting up. You have a benefactor who is your inspiration, who's setting these things up and helping you get these things off the ground. And we are going to learn a little bit about it, which is going to be superb, because this sort of thing is an inspiration for others who might want to do the same. So my guests, as you can see here, we have Sarah on the left, and the other little ball chap there is not me, it's Colin. Hello to the pair of you.
Hi Richard.
Thanks very much for coming along and being part of the show. So communities, this is the time when people are talking about this like no other time. I mean, the 60s people were doing communities, weren't they? And they were sort of, a lot of sort of cannabis smoking hippie-like communities were a bit far out, man. But now it seems to me we're very serious about this because of the corruption and the tyranny that we're in. So who's going to kick us off and tell us about the type of communities that you are trying to set up or are setting up? Is it you, Sarah?
You can try, Sarah. Go.
I can go, yeah. So we're set up, we've got the KindaSock, the venue in Cambridge, which was running as...
And what's it called, sorry?
KindaSock.
KindaSock.
KindaSock, yeah.
It's kind of this, kind of that.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's a curious name.
It is, yeah, that keeps your interest. So it's run as a wedding venue, an events venue for years, but we can see it can be so much more now. You can just create a community from the basis of kindness.
And when you say it's, what kind of venue is it? It's a building?
It's a building. It's got lots of lovely healing colours on the walls. You've got a great outside space with a fire pit, a big double-decker bus. You've got the bell tents. It leads well for festivals, speakers.
You described it to me as a pub when we were sort of talking about this beforehand, with a couple of acres of land. But it's not a small pub.
It's not a small pub, no.
It's got lots of little nooks and crannies. It's a very interesting pub.
How old is it?
A venue now.
Well, we've had it for 15 years, but to the locals it's known as the Prince Albert many, many moons ago.
Right, so would you say, is it a Victorian pub?
It's a good question. It's got a lot of history, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely 20s at least, right?
Yeah.
Right.
20s at least, yeah.
Definitely.
So you're looking...
I suppose, yeah, with Albert, up to that sort of period in time.
Yeah. But it's a lovely space, just the whole energy of it. Even though there's a road right nearby, but it's almost like it just disappears when you get into the ambience of the place and just the feel and the energy of the venue. It's on another
It's like
level.
a journey of wonderment as you venture around.
A journey of
wonderment.
That sounds fantastic. Is it somewhere where people can live off grid and those sort of communities, or is it sort of a hub for the community in the area that you're in?
Right now it's much more of a hub where people can come and learn. There can be workshops on teaching you how to eat from the seasons, sound baths, festivals,
There's a whole healing kind of venue in one thing. But yeah, primarily for that purpose, not so much on as living off grid yet, but we'll go into that.
Right.
That's
okay.
There's a big vision, Richard.
Right. So, well, let's start then with its history. How did this get off the ground? Because I mentioned at the beginning that you have a benefactor or somebody who's inspiring you and putting in some of his own money into this project. And this is something that we need to see more of, people who have visions, ideas, and maybe a bit of backing, or know how to get the backing, so that these sort of community hubs can take off.
Exactly. So, I mean, Hugh's been doing this for over 20 years now. It started off in Thailand as Generation Journey, where he was on holiday and got taken to a poor part of Thailand where there was Burmese refugees. And what he did is he bought some land. They had to do half of it as a monk, and then built a village, all these mud huts. I actually visited it in 2009. and created this safe space for people and a community. And actually, interestingly enough, Hugh did all that from a place of kindness, but he was there just this week and saying how well preserved the village is and how lovely for him to go back 20 years ago, from 20 years later, and see that. Because of all the rigmarole and the paperwork, it was quite a tricky thing. And there was a guy living on the like based out there in Thailand called Daniel. His charity was Children of the Forest, and Hugh eventually handed over the Generation Journey land over to this guy who then ran with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he set that overseas. Now, I know that you said to me that, of course, charity begins at home, or that sort of thing. You know, a lot of projects are on overseas. We're in a very tricky environment here in the UK with the tyrannical government that we have and this very sort of dictatorial, almost communist style of leadership that's happening. Projects like this are very important so that people feel that they have a sense of freedom and a sense of say in the type of lives that they want. So is Hugh, who's the chap in question, is he thinking of bringing this vision that you said more back to the UK?
Yeah, because it's been in Africa as well, where they help the children, the townships, got them into schools. There's been loads going on, and there's still stuff going on in Africa now. But definitely, this venue sits there, and it can be a great hub to bring it closer to home for people now.
The problem with Africa was where the money was being invested, but it wasn't being used wisely.
Right.
So it created a few issues around
Challenges.
that. Yeah. So Hugh reluctantly said, I've got to come back, but that was him following his intuition. Whether he was aware of that at that point, he was following his intuition and bringing it back home. And it's like, actually, everything he needs and the people that are there to support him and to see out his vision as well, they're all here.
Right.
And they're already coming in as well in from other areas as well. So it's nice that he's getting that full support that he really deserves, because you know he's a very special man.
He is super kind, definitely, for sure. Comes from a good place, and he's had his own real big awakening in the last few years, hasn't he? For sure.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Hugh then. I mean, he's at the moment he sounds like this sort of mystical figure who's in the background.
Oh, he's very present. He is very present.
Is he?
Don't you worry about that, Richard.
He was woken up, so he had an awakening in 2020. Like everything that he did was kind of post 9/11.
Right.
That kind of gave him a bit of an urge to want to go and help people. But then 2020, there was a book that was called The Coming Times, and that was a book that was channeled, and the lady gave him the copy of the book to read, and it was at that point he had this huge awareness of, I need to create, I need to do more, you know, and this was his inspiration. So it was thanks to that book that really kind of jarred him into motivation and taking action.
So what's his background to this then?
What he did for work?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
person?
as a person, just so that we can get a measure of your the benefactor and inspirational character. What was his background? Was he a businessman? Was he just naturally rich? Was he a guru?
No. He went out. He was self-made businessman.
Right.
He had a glazing company. That's what he did. He started that when he was 40. Worked very, very hard.
It was a niche. The market that he was in was a real niche, and it's what gave him the opportunity to not only live a life on his terms, but more about actually what he could give back, and that's the beautiful thing about him.
Yeah.
It was always about giving back.
And I mean, I suppose in many ways this is where we need people who've got a little bit of funding, to think perhaps about where they could put their funding to help more people rather than just their own bottom line or their own retirement or something. Obviously, you know, we're not asking people to not have money for themselves, but we're in such a difficult position at the moment with the way the world is that we need more of this sort of stuff, the communities which are helping people.
Thing is, he understands because he came from nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, his whole background was from nothing, and the struggles he had growing up. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this, you know, but the struggles he had growing up, and as we all do, which affected him in his own way, and that was his kind of cue to really do something with his life and to create what he wanted to create. And he discovered this little niche within the glazing industry that really kind of set him above the bar and made everything possible that he's creating today.
So you mentioned a vision. Tell me about his vision then for the future.
So Hugh's vision,
that learning of excellence and that social hub, there's so much vision. But it is to bring community and people together. And if people have got a project they're passionate about, because the charity behind this is called The Missing Kind, and one of our flagships of that is Mel, the Kind of Education School. Hugh and her met in 2017, and she's got a bit of land, and she started weekend clubs for the children, and now that's a full-blown school with 40 employees paid, running that kind of education. So that's when people have got an idea like that.
It's
and they're
bringing
passionate.
children back as well, isn't it? So that's about bringing children back into nature, understanding nature again, and teaching them in a different way than the national curriculum wants. And they put these children there, and what Mel was saying is like, and then they do the job, and then suddenly they pull them back out and go, thanks very much, and put them back in. And she's like,
no,
why?
Right.
So this is what we're trying to change in that aspect. But it's about land as well, isn't it? It's about having a whole community there with everything that you would need in a way of education, but in the right way. It's empowering to a person, not disempowering.
And when you say land, do you mean living on the land, living in a community, like living in a village with all the necessary
with all your commodities there,
right,
with woodland, with water, and being able to grow as well, and living quarters and stuff, and centres, so healing education centres as well.
I mean, many people are thinking like this, and the bottom line, I suppose, comes down to funding to buy enough land so that you can get people on there. Then you've got the whole business about dealing with the government and planning permission and all those headaches that they would put up if you remain in the jurisdiction of the government. What's his vision then in dealing with the jurisdiction of the government and things like that?
I was in
That's
Cambodia.
That's a great question. That's for you.
So I was in Cambodia recently with Hugh. We travelled there and we had a great time. And we got to chatting and talking. And this is an area that he's not really too aware of yet. But I kind of introduced him to the hey, you can actually create your own sovereign state, so this is something I think he's going to look into. But it will become something that's completely independent, because it has to be, right?
Yeah, I mean,
there's
no way the government are going to let people just go on the land and do their own thing if they're not getting the taxes and having control and getting you to adhere to a whole load of rules and regulations, assuming they would even want you to be out from their
But we know Hugh's a
BDI.
go-getter. He's a visionary, an amazing visionary, but he's a go-getter, and if he sees something and he says, right, I really want to put that to work, he will put it to work and make it work, for the benefit of everyone, not for him, not for one person, but it has to include the whole. And this is one of the things he says often, is like, listen, this isn't for me, you're creating this. This is a hub, and he wants to bring in social enterprises so people can bring in their businesses in a sense to that place as well, and create this thing together, as long as it's in the benefit for everyone, and is in for the higher good, then he's absolutely endorsing that.
Well, the good thing is the venue did run as a social enterprise for 10 years, and lots of projects benefited from that. So now it kind of halted for a bit, so now we're reigniting that venue to do that, but also be a centre where people can come, like-minded people, and learn from each other.
Where is the venue based? I suppose I should have said this right close to the beginning.
Just outside of Cambridge, just off the A14.
Right, so you're in Cambridgeshire.
Just
it's quite central actually to a lot of people, so for talks and stuff like that, and events.
It's great in the middle. It's great for Norfolk, London, coming from east, isn't it?
And am I correct in thinking that you've got a talk coming up or an event happening fairly soon on the 29th of March?
You are correct, Richard.
No. I've done my homework, I have done my homework.
Well done.
So tell us about that.
On the 29th of March, we have an event coming on, and it's a full day retreat event where we have speakers. So we have the amazing Juliette Bryant coming on as well to talk about her medicinal mushrooms. And we're not talking about the other kind, we're talking about the other things that are very good for the body, and plant medicines, which are, again, very, very good for the body. We've got some other authors coming in as well. I'm also doing the 432 hertz full sound bath. There's Cacao.
So say that again. You're doing the
432 hertz sound bath. We spoke about this on our.
Oh yes, but just in case people didn't hear that,
yes.
432 hertz is a good frequency.
It's the natural resonance of nature.
Right.
So when you're engulfed in that primary kind of sound, that frequency, it overpowers everything else that's in that room. So there's a whole healing.
And is this what they talk about in the old churches in the old days when the bells were
all
ringing?
The bells before they were retuned,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
before they started taking them down.
Yeah.
They were all in 432 as well. Yeah.
And so this is a sound bath.
Yeah, so it includes instruments from all over the world that I use, different native flutes, crystal singing bowls. There's something called a monochord, which has 34 strings, which is a beautiful instrument. That comes from Germany, that one.
I used to be able to play one of those. Oh no, it was a monocycle. That's right. No, sorry, I got confused.
But yeah, there's a lot of instruments that sound different that you wouldn't hear mostly anywhere else. So that's included. But we've also got other people coming in to offer their services. So we've got like massaging. We've got aura photography. That's something that's really special.
Aura photography.
Aura photography. So taking an image of the aura around your body,
Yeah.
and the guy tells you what each color represents. And this guy's phenomenal. I went to him and a bit skeptical, and he told me I had an injury to the right side of and now I was suffering with it that day. He didn't know I wasn't walking funny, but
Well, maybe.
Well,
but
that's only a matter of opinion.
And he was
Exactly,
like, he
Richard.
said this has been there for a little while, and he was absolutely correct. So you're able to read the auric field around the body. This comes from Simeon Kurdi, which is Kurdian photography. So he was able to realize that through a lens, you can see the aura through every single thing. Even inanimate objects have an energy field around them, and so they just played with that a little bit, and now can create the vision of your own aura. Of your emotions and stuff like that, and things that are going on in your life. So he's there.
Right.
We've got him doing that. What else have we got?
There's loads of it. It's
Shaman
a
healing
great
as well.
day for everybody. Even if you're just new to the well-being and self-care for yourself, you're going to come away feeling good, and that's the aim of the day. Is that people
It works on your
learn and feel
parasympathetic
good.
nervous system, so it creates the healing benefits to your whole body, which actually increases your immune system as well. So
So
we
they're
have
going to go away feeling good.
yes.
This is
So
the
we
point.
have like a tiered system of payment.
Tickets, yeah.
And they're silly prices because we're not in it to try to make the money. We
Right.
just want to pay the bill for the day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the primary function behind it. But you can find that on the website.
Yeah, KindaSock.org. It's all on there.
And
ready
how
for
are you spelling kind of? Is it kind?
Kinda.
Kinda.
So KINDA, sock, as in your feet, SOCK.org.
Right, kind of
Yeah.
sock.
The story
It's
behind
got you,
that.
hasn't it?
Yeah,
Richard.
I know. I mean, it is an unusual name, and people
So
be
the
going,
story
"Oh,
behind that was the pub was renamed as the Missing Sock.
oh, was it?"
Yeah. So
It was
this
the
this is
Missing
where it makes
Sock,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you see the missing sock, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
It was just about this odd thing that happens. We always have a missing sock somewhere,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so that was the premise behind it. But as we went into this new phase and this new understanding and this opening up to this more holistic aspect
And
of
in line with
what
the
we want
missing
to give,
kind.
it just worked with
Evolved.
kinda
Yeah.
Right,
So that's
yeah.
why it's become that.
Makes perfect sense,
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't it, ladies and
Next
gentlemen?
time we'll have T-shirts.
Kind of so. So presumably that this is the first of many of these type of events that you're planning on doing.
Yeah, there's a big one going on also in
September?
Yeah, there's a big one that's going to be huge as well.
Right.
But this one is really to kind of give people an idea of what they're in for, and also that the venue is available for other people to come and
And
use
hire
that
it.
for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not about the big events, it's the day-to-day stuff as well. There'll be a little cafe, there's free therapy rooms that therapists can hire out. So you can go there for your massage, a Reiki healing.
Cacao Shack will be there as well.
Of course.
Cacao Shack.
Serving-
Now, tell me, what is this Cacao Shack?
I have no idea, Richard. I'm not doing any marketing or anything.
No. And cacao is this sort of from the
It's
basis.
the purest form of chocolate that you can get, and it's a superfood. Full of antioxidants.
I have to, I have to say that before we started filming, the reason I've lost the colour in my cheeks and I'm feeling wretched right now is this man over there.
This one.
He brought some of this poison. He brought some of this very lovely chocolate. No, actually, it was delicious.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. And so, what is the benefit? Just because I know we did a show about this, but what is to remind those people who didn't bother to watch that show and are now watching this?
Yeah.
What's the benefits of cacao for the body?
So ceremonial cacao, the benefits of that is it has up to 67% more antioxidants than blueberries and goji berries combined. It has, by weight, more magnesium than anything else. It's full of iron, copper, phosphorus, sulfur, manganese. It has zinc, which is obviously really good for our immune system. It's the only food on the planet that contains a molecule called anandamide. And anandamide...
That might not be a bad thing, really.
So when you look at all the Indian yogis,
Yes.
they're called Yogananda. Well, Ananda in ancient Sanskrit means bliss.
Ah.
So what we're looking at is the bliss molecule, and cacao is the only food on the planet that contains the bliss molecule. The only place you'll ever find it is from your brain, that your brain produces when you're in a blissful moment. And
feeding the
another
bliss?
thing called
I don't know if
phenethylamine.
I've ever felt the bliss, but only when the lovely Julia is here with me, of course.
Well, that is a release of phenethylamine, which is the
a release of what?
so that
Henna.
is that is the hormone that's released for when you fall in love.
Ah.
And again, cacao releases that. It works with neurotransmitters in the brain for memory and focus, which is why I can remember all this.
Yes. It's almost like you're a salesman for it, isn't it?
And it's as a heart opener, so it works with the cardiovascular system as opposed to caffeine, that works on your central nervous system, which we shouldn't be messing about with.
No.
So again, they have very different ways of working. So caffeine, you can get addicted to that and you'll feel the come down, and also if you don't have it for a few days, you'll feel the grogginess. Well, with cacao, it's not. It's just this beautiful, it has something called theobromine, which is a stimulant, but it takes you up on a beautiful journey and takes you down on a beautiful journey, but you can take and leave it as and when you want. That's the good thing about cacao.
A bit like smoking a pipe then, really.
It really is. And it was a lovely smell, by the way, when I came into your house and just smelt the pipe, and it just reminded me of my granddad. It was lovely.
There you go. So now you do actually flog this stuff.
Yeah, on the market, under my jacket.
Come and get your cacao here, mate. Come and get your cacao.
I've got them up the sleeves,
Yeah.
instead of watches. Yeah.
So you may as well plug it whilst we're here. How do people
Yeah.
get hold of some of this cacao?
So you can go to happymindhappyu.com, and then on the website you'll see where it says Cacao Shack. Click on that and it'll give you directions to...
Is it
ordering
happy
the
cacao?
It's gorgeous cacao. One of the cacaos I'm using, actually, which is my brand, is from the Ashaninka tribes in Peru. So it's a tribal cacao. That's what you had today.
The what tribe?
The Ashaninka tribe.
Yes, there we go.
And
Straight from Sainsbury's, ladies and gentlemen.
no, don't you swear at me. You won't find this stuff in a shop.
No.
But yeah, so it's different to the last lot that you had. But this has a lovely kind of nutty kind of background to it as well. So it's
No, it was
it's
very
extra
nice,
special.
and
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to do something.
Well, you're feeling joy already, right? Look, you're
Yes,
smiling.
yes.
Yeah, you're completely...
Luckily, I've got some diuretic tablets nearby.
You looked very sullen when we came in, and now look at you.
Sullen, I give you sullen. No, that sounds fantastic. So you'll be selling that or providing that at the event that you've got, and these other events at the community.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's just go back to the overall vision then. Is Hugh's vision to have more of these hubs up and around the country? Is that the
He
thing?
also wants to be an inspiration to people to actually
set their
create
own
these things. Yeah.
Yeah, to pioneer, to inspire them to, they
Yeah.
can actually do it themselves as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come and see
The
how it's
difficulty
done.
is the money, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a challenge always. You're quite right,
and
Richard.
Well, I mean, that'll be the first thing people say. Well, it's all very well,
Yeah.
but you've got to
Yeah.
buy a building or
Yeah.
rent a building, and then you've got to be able to, publicise it.
Which is
get
why we're putting on
staff.
this event. It's like, because if we can get the word out to people and they can come and see what we're doing,
Yes.
and see the potential in this. Number one, they're going to go away feeling inspired. Number two, they're going to have a great time doing whatever they're doing there when they hire it.
They're drinking all
come
that
and experience
cacao.
it, yeah. And also, it's like showing that in order for this to really work, we do need funding for it. It has to come back in, because you can't just keep hemorrhaging money when
No, of course
it just
not.
wouldn't work.
Of course not.
So,
And presumably, there must be other people like you who can be inspired by that and say, well, I've been looking at a project. I want to put my money into something, and this could be another hub in a different part of the country.
We have camping as well, right? So we have land at the back of it where you can camp as well, and also a huge car park where we could have people that, if they're bringing their campers, they could stay there on their campers as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, there's
Because
electric
you've got
as well.
2 acres of land, so there's quite a lot you could do with that.
Yeah, we've got a big marquee, so there's stuff going on there. We've got a 7-meter bell tent as well, so there's another speaking area there. So there's some nice different variations.
It's a great venue to come to an event, but also host your own event. There's all those opportunities.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in any projects of your own, just have a look at the missingkind.org website.
The missing kind.
Yeah,
That's-
always open to people's ideas, so they can always reach out on the website.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's the thing is, you said about the 60s where we had this kind of awakening,
Sort of
and
community type.
yeah. But I think now we've got so much more awareness to it, and I think the time now is right. So many people are realizing the system that they're in isn't actually in their favor. So I think they're going, hang on a minute, this, like in the 60s, it was all like, yeah, let's just go and, but they didn't really understand maybe why. It just felt good. But now we're actually,
because you were quite old in the 60s, weren't you?
I was 78 in the 60s, yeah. So, but now we're understanding why.
Right.
We're getting the knowledge now, and going, hey, and knowledge by itself is not power. The application of knowledge is power. So when we apply it, that's when it becomes powerful. And by applying it into things like what we're doing, pioneering this, it's like that's where you use it to its advantage and to the greater benefit for everyone.
Yeah, because the KindaSock is open for everybody. It's to welcome anybody in, to meet like-minded people and to learn.
So basically, if there's people watching this and they think to myself, I'd like to do an event. There's at the moment, I know that Mark Byford, the bowler hat farmer, is keen on getting a tour around. He could come to you,
absolutely,
and say, I want to use the hall, and of course you'll have people a bit like, say, in a cinema or a theatre who are keeping an eye on what goes on at this venue, so that they can, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, so you can put together a programme of events, presumably.
Yeah, all the events will be up on our website.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's really good. I might have to come up there myself and flog a few
You'd
of my
love it.
books once
You'd
I've
love
got
it.
those.
You're more than welcome, Richard. More than welcome.
Drinking cacao and reading excerpts from the book.
Yeah, well, we also have something called Kinda Publishing as well, and that is all about getting people that have a book and want to kind of get that visible and seen, so we have that aspect up and running as well, and coming up together. So we're learning, we're kind of guiding our way with this, because we want to do it properly, but we also want to do it that's beneficial to everyone, so yeah, we have the Kind of Publishing. What else is going on there?
Kind of health, kind of everything.
Kind of everything. Yeah, the Kind of Health is
Kind of
amazing.
everything.
So the Kind of Health, we have the Spooky 2 machines going on. Yeah, so we have them, but other additions to that as well. So
I may have Spooky 2 Man coming on the show. I think they're supposed to be sending me one of their devices.
Amazing.
Which I don't know what I'm going to do with, because you need somebody ill to show it to, don't you?
Yeah.
So I'll have to go and I'll get Julia. I'll bash her over the head with a big stick
But because
and then see if I can repair it.
But because of
Don't tell her, of course.
Because of how the quantum world works, like it doesn't matter whether you're here or on the other side of the world, they still get that benefit, which is really strange.
Yeah.
But it happens. There's evidence behind it. So
yeah. Well, we're all beginning to open our minds up to all these potential new technologies, which may be.
But they're not new.
I was going to say, which are much
It's actually
older.
really old, isn't
Yes,
it? That's the
that's it,
irony.
that's
We're just
Yeah.
remembering. It's just regurgitating it back around because it was always meant to be here.
Yes, it's
And
been hidden
because
from
it was,
us.
yeah, and you can't hide these things forever. They will resurface.
No, and it
until
does
they're
seem to be
used.
this is the time now where all of this stuff is coming out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
You're
and
seeing it everywhere, right?
Mm.
We also run a monthly holistic business networking event, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really nice for all those people to come together and just help and support each other. The question we ask at the end is, what does everybody need today? And
£100,000.
yeah, always, Richard. That's always good. But it's good, really supportive. People ask for something, can you come and help cut down a tree? Something small.
Yes.
But then someone in the group will go and do that. So
Well,
it's nice to support one another.
That's
create
it.
that.
Logs. You see, you say someone cut down a tree. I'm always looking for logs for my wood burning stove.
When we say tree, we're not cutting down live trees. They're,
No.
they're dead trees.
Yeah, we know.
No trees are harmed in the making of this.
No,
No,
but
absolutely.
it's just an example of supporting in a community
Yeah.
environment.
Well, listen, it sounds absolutely brilliant that there is this place. It's actual venue, because a lot of people are talking about this, but they haven't got a bricks and mortar building to sort of launch all these sort of things from. A lot of people are hiring places, and we've seen how people have been cancelled because they have the wrong opinion or the wrong ideas and not fit the mainstream narrative, which of course is a bit of a nuisance for people. So you've actually got somewhere people can hire it, they can go there, you've got events going on, you've got well-being going on. I mean, it sounds absolutely amazing. And it's relatively central in England, for England, Scotland and Wales.
It's accessible, isn't it? Like, Cambridge is like just a really good place to be. And you're in the middle of nowhere, essentially, aren't you? Where this pub is. It's not actually
are you in
in
the
a town.
Fens or
Well, is
something?
it? No, it's not. It's not. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's just 5 miles out of Cambridge.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but it's got all the great parking, the great roads. That's the boring part, but it is accessible, which is
Yes.
really useful.
Well, that's absolutely essential, isn't it, in this
And
day?
parking.
Exactly.
We've got plenty of parking.
And you've got parking
Yeah.
with lovely parking meters
Yeah.
for £5 an hour,
That's a good idea. We haven't, but
No,
we would never do that.
like hospital parking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show in person and telling us all about it. Just give us the website again for where people can find out more information.
So for the charity element, it's themissingkind.org, and for the venue, it's KindaSock.org.
Fantastic. And we'll put the links in the description, of course, and you can check it all out. And if people want to get some of that rather disturbing cacao that
You're not selling it, Richard.
where do they go for that?
happymindhappyu.com.
And it is actually very nice. I did have
Thank you.
some, and of course I'm only joking because I can run faster than him. At least I hope so.
You've got longer legs than me.
I've got longer legs. Thank you so much for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you've enjoyed that. And I hope also that has been a bit of an inspiration for anybody out there who may have an idea that they want to try out. Sounds like the perfect venue for that sort of thing. Or indeed, if somebody's interested or have got land or property. I mean, I know there's in Ledbury. Is it Ledbury? I think it's Ledbury. There's the barn in Ledbury. They're doing things in a small way because it's a smallish venue. But this is what we need more of.
Yeah. It's the
Definitely.
time, isn't it?
And it's the time.
If you want to do it, you've got to take action.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. I've managed to sort of hopefully edit that quite reasonably on the fly. Until next time, I thank my wonderful guests, Sarah and... What was your name again, Colin?
Can't remember.
Cacao, I think. Until next time, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you.